The White House is smarter than you think. The politicians are smarter than you think. Inflation is raging at the highest levels we've seen in years. CPI officially is being reported at 5.4%. That's the highest that CPI has been in 13 years. Core inflation is 4.3%. That is, in June and July, the highest in 30 years. Now, when you have high rates of inflation, 4 to 5%, what that means is you have to increase the amount of money that you are making by 4 to 5% simply to keep up with inflation. That is the only way that you can protect your purchasing power. So if you work an hourly job and you're getting paid $10 an hour in 2019, in 2020, you're getting paid $10 an hour. And then again, this year, you're getting paid $10 an hour. You're actually getting paid less in purchasing power terms than you were previously. And so you have to continue to get some sort of raise to protect that purchasing power. Well, how big should the raise be? We've seen places like Chipotle and other types of fast food restaurants raise prices 3 to 4% to offset the raise in labor that they are providing. We've seen places like BlackRock investment banks raise base pay for all people within their organization by 8+%. But now we have seen that the House of Representatives, your elected leader, are deciding that they are going to raise the maximum annual salary for their staff to $199,300. That's right. The staff for the House of Representatives, the maximum they can make now is $700 below $200,000. That is up from $173,900. So what that tells you is that the House of Representatives, your elected leaders, the same people who are telling you, listen to the economists, don't worry about inflation, this is transitory, have chosen to increase the pay of their own staffers by about 14%. Chipotle, you're an hourly worker, you get 3 or 4% raise. You work at an investment bank like a BlackRock, you get 8%. But you work for the government, you get a 14% raise. And so what we are seeing is the classic, don't listen to what they're saying, watch what they're doing. If they are willing to give a 14% raise to their own staffers, there is no way in hell they think that inflation is only 4 or 5%. They're giving a raise that is almost 3 times that amount. And so don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. When we start to understand that now a staffer could make $199,300, that means that there may be some staffers who actually are getting paid more than some of our elected leaders. What do I mean? Well, the compensation for most U.S. senators and representatives and delegates is around $174,000. So if a staffer could get paid $199,000 and around average compensation is $174,000 for some of the elected leaders, literally staffers could be making more than the people that you've chosen to represent you in the halls of Congress or the Senate. And so another sign that this is all just nonsense. And so we've got a letter from Nancy Pelosi that we're going to pull up here that basically explains why they are doing this. Now, this is something that you have to get very comfortable with as we move forward in the future. There is all kinds of things outlaid here, but what they essentially say at the top is a key priority for strengthening the Congress so that it can best serve the American people is ensuring that our offices and committees have access to the best talent in America. I agree with that. We should have the best people, either as our elected officials or working for our elected officials. And so then immediately she says, as Speaker, I have been proud to take steps to ensure a diversity of experience and talent among staff. That sounds very smart. So that the halls of Congress at every level truly reflect those who we are honored to serve. Makes sense. But to that end, today it is my privilege to announce an important new reform for our institution, raising the maximum annual rate of pay of the staff. This order will help the Congress recruit and retain the outstanding and diverse talent that we need, as it also helps ensure parity between employees of the House of Representatives and other employees of the federal government. Skirt! Time out. What? You can go work in the government and make $200,000? What the hell is going on in the government? Why is it that we can't balance a budget, but we're paying staffers now up to 200 grand, but other employees in the government? How many employees in the government get paid 200 grand? What is going on? The letter continues. This important action follows steps taken over the last two Congress to make the House more inclusive, open, and representative of the full range of voices and values of our communities. These steps include establishing the House Office of Diversity and Inclusion and taking action to establish the Select Committee on the Modernization of Congress. They are so antiquated that they have a Select Committee on the Modernization of Congress, and they're paying people $200,000 as staffers. What is going on? The decision to raise the maximum annual rate of pay was recommended by the chair of the Committee on the House Administration. Furthermore, it builds on the work of the Select Committee on the Modernization of Congress, which under the chairman has carefully reviewed and held hearings on the issue in related manner. They literally are having meetings about paying themselves more. Nuts. We should pay people an adequate salary. We should try to incentivize the best people to do this. But this sounds a lot different than when politicians say, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I want to serve for the people. I want to represent the people in Congress or in the Senate. So which is it? Is it that they're doing it for the money or they're doing it because they feel called to serve? You can't have both. And if you're going to increase the salary by 14%, don't throw in the diversity and inclusion clauses and the kind of wave of hand as if that just allows you to do whatever you want, because as long as you say it's diversity and inclusion, then people would just say, yep, of course we have to do it. Just say what it is. You're raising salaries by 14% because you voted to attribute and help devalue the currency at a historic rate. Inflation hasn't been this high in 13 to 30 years, depending on how you count it. And if you're going to contribute to the devaluation of the currency, the only way you can keep people is if you pay them more. But you could have paid them 3% more, 5% more, but you chose 14. Why 14? Because the official inflation number is much higher than the 4 to 5% official numbers, and everyone knows it. And so they're explicitly admitting it here. Joe and John, what do we think in terms of them now increasing the maximum pay of staffers to 200 grand?
I don't have a problem with 200 grand. Look, I think that, like you say it all the time, right? Incentives run everything. So you want to incentivize the best and the smartest people that we have here to run for important positions, right? And government elected officials are certainly that determine the rules and laws and the regulations of this country. So I think that when it comes to salary, you don't want to associate, an elected official with a lower income than they should be able to get, right? So you want to incentivize them with high pay, good incentives, all this kind of stuff. The problem is the timing, right? So when we talk about how inflation's running hot, how they've contributed to that, and how they're saying everything will be fine, it's transitory, there's no issues, we don't expect this to drive the inequality gap higher or wider or anything. It's a real weird timing-wise when they come out and say, hey, look, now we're going to give ourselves 14% raises at the same time that we're telling you everything's going to be fine. So the bottom line is, look, the government's not looking out for you. They're not going to tell you to go get the raise yourself. They're not going to get the raise for you. What you have to do is look out for yourself. You have to go demand or ask for a raise, right, if you're doing a good job, and lay out all the reasons why that's important. Show them how your purchasing power is being devalued. Show them how you're doing a good job. Show them why you deserve this extra money. But at the end of the day, all the government officials are doing are inflating themselves, right, and making sure they're being paid relative to the inflation in this country and demanding that their purchasing power stays at an adequate level or increases, actually. So I think from an incentive perspective, the number 200,000 doesn't really mean much to me, right? Like, I don't have a problem with them making that amount of money. I think in a world where we want to incentivize people to do that job, that makes sense. That's a fine amount. But when it comes to giving yourself a raise when you're telling everyone else inflation is not a problem, it's transitory, all this stuff, it's kind of weird.
I actually think that they should just pay everyone $1 million then. Like, if you're going to pay people a lot, then just go overboard. Like, just literally pay all the staffers $1 million, make it hyper competitive, literally steal people from Goldman Sachs or Google or Facebook or, whatever big organization. Just pay all the staffers $1 million, get the best people, and just say that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it feels like that's not what's happening. John, what do you think?
The government is just like us. That's what it is. People are getting raises to fight inflation, right? People realize that they're being paid less. The government's doing the exact same thing, just on a higher level. They're getting a 14%. Other people are getting 8%.
We're also not counting the incentive of all this opportune trading that they're doing in the stock market and all of that kind of stuff. That counts for something in the salary range or the compensation range, I think.
Well, what for sure that's definitely happening. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is the best options trader in America. I don't know how she does it, but she does it
when you got
every
insider
time.
info.
Yeah, well, it's not insider. It's just I just know things that you don't know because I'm smart, obviously. Don't even get me started on that. And by the way, it's on both sides of the aisle. It's not just one side.
Of course.
But the other piece of it here, I guess, is like, do we think the raise is because it's about retaining talent or recruiting talent, or do you think it's because of inflation?
Recruit and retain the outstanding and diverse talent that we need.
That's what they're saying. So the official line here is we're giving the staffers a 14% raise on the maximum amount that they can earn, only because we need to recruit and retain great talent. They don't mention a single word about inflation, about the devaluation of the currency, about monetary or fiscal policy.
Their performance over the last year.
It just happens to be that food, transportation, housing, everything else is more expensive by 5, 10, 15, 20% in some cases. So it's like I said, it's a weird time that they're giving themselves a 14% raise. They could do this any year, right? And I'm sure they've tried in the past. But when you see inflation run as hot as we are and you keep telling everyone, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Like you said, watch what they're doing. They're giving themselves a 14% raise in the same breath that they're telling you not to be concerned.
If the elected officials could give themselves a 20% raise to themselves, like not their staffers,
staffers,
they would do that too, right? Like that would happen automatically. House prices up 23% year over year. Wholesale prices up 7.8%. Asset prices up 46% annualized. Used cars, 41%. Energy, 23%. CPI, 5.4%. They are saying that is for retaining talent. I don't believe a word about it. There's nobody who is now all of a sudden going to go get a job as a staffer because I don't make $174,000, I make $199,000. A $20,000 difference at those levels does not matter. It does not matter whether I want to go be a staffer or not. The job still sucks. I still got to wear a suit and tie or heels on Washington, D.C., walk around. It's hot in the summer. I still got to deal with the bureaucratic nonsense. 20 grand isn't going to change whether somebody wants to work there or not. It's all nonsense. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching that clip of the Best Business Show. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you know when we go live every weekday, and then head to SoFi.com/pomp so that you can get an account and we can get after it.